Good morning, my dear friends. Today we are going to learn 7th class geography new chapter. Today is our lesson name our environment. So first of all we learn about what is a environment. What is a term of environment? So environment means whatever we see in our surroundings. So whatever we see in our surroundings we see some natural points and some human-made environment, natural environment and human-made environment. So in this we see in our surroundings mountains, rocks, then plants, animals, buildings, temples. So that is including in our that's all parts is including in our environment. So environment means whatever we see in our surroundings. Then second is environment is our basic life support system, because environment fulfill our needs, basic needs like shelter, food and clothes. So environment is our basic life support system. The third point and the most important point is the environment means it provides us air, water, food and land. Air, water, food and land means these our basic life, our basic needs directly and indirectly in both way depend on our environment. So that is the definition of environment, means the whatever we see in our surroundings. So natural environment also and the human made environment also. So our environments there are divided into two components, or there has a natural environment and the human made environment. So first of all we learn about the natural environment. So natural environment means what? Natural environment means whatever we see in our nature, like natural environment means plants, animals, mountains, rivers, sea. So that is the all parts is including in our natural environments. So this natural environment, a natural environment has two components, means two main points. The first is a biotic or physical and the second is biotic. A biotic means what? Non-living things. Abiotic means non-living things and the biotic means living things. And in abiotic things or physical, in that parts including land, water, air, and the biotic means living things, in that part including plants, human beings and animals. So first of all we learn about the abiotic or physical means non-living things. The first is the land. Land also called the lithosphere. Land means lithosphere. Lithosphere is made of or form of a solid crust. Solid crust means top of earth. Solid crust means top area of earth or top layer of earth. In this class, in the second lesson, you learn about the layer of the earth in detail. So this crust means the top area of earth or top part of the earth. So land is made up of solid crust. This is called the lithosphere. So land is also important for us because land gives us shelter, and in land provide us agriculture possible and the fulfill our basic need also, because land is it supplies minerals also. Land supplies minerals also. Then second abiotic or non-living things is water. Water also called the hydrosphere. Water also called the hydrosphere. Then this is the water is the second abiotic means non-living things and the water called the hydrosphere. So it fulfills the vital human needs, because vital means what? The essential for life. Vital means what? VITL. Vital means essential for life. In Marathi we say जीवनावश्यक वस्तू. So this is the hydrosphere. It fulfills, this hydrosphere means water, this fulfills vital humans, animals and plants needs for survive. This hydrosphere fulfill our human beings needs, animals and plants for what? For survive. This is another, this hydrosphere, this part, these abiotic things play most important role in play most important role in non-living things. Then the third part of these abiotic components, this is called the air. Air means atmosphere. Air also called the atmosphere. The third non-living things is the air. Air also called the atmosphere. So air means what? Air is the mixture of gases. Air is the mixture of gases, and air also called the envelope the earth is called atmosphere, because the atmosphere has many gases. This atmosphere has a many gases which perform various vital, means most important functions. For example, the ozone layer protect us from UV rays of the sun. UV means ultraviolet rays of the sun. This ozone layer protect us from the UV means ultraviolet rays of the sun. So that is three basic parts of the abiotic or physical environment. Land means lithosphere, water means hydrosphere, air means atmosphere. Okay, now we learned about the biotic components. This is also called the living things. Biotic means living things. The example of biotic things or biotic components are plants, human beings and animals. Okay, so students, what we learn about the natural environment. Natural environment has two components, abiotic or physical components and the biotic components. Abiotic components examples are land, water and air. Land is called lithosphere, water is called hydrosphere and the air is called the atmosphere, right? Now the biotic component, that means the living things, and the biotic components examples are plants, human beings and animals. So I hope you better understood properly. Now we learn about the biotic components and the living things. So these includes all forms of life. In these biotic components or living things includes all forms of the life. And animals, living beings are generally found up to the height of 6 kilometers. Living beings means living organism found generally the 6 kilometer in the atmosphere and upper depth of 7 kilometer. The height 6 kilometer and the depth of 7 kilometer in the oceans. 6 kilometer height. Always remember 6 kilometer height and the depth of 7 kilometer in ocean. Okay, so this narrow belt of about 30 kilometer in which all forms of life exist is called the biosphere. All forms of life exist is called the biosphere. In the biosphere there are two most important categories. In the biosphere there are two most important categories. First is called the producers. In the biosphere the two most important categories, producers or autotrophs. Producers or autotrophs means autotrophs, and the second is the consumers or heterotrophs. So producers or autotrophs, the example of plants, and the consumer or heterotrophs example is human beings and animals. So first of all we learn about the producers or autotrophs means what. So producer or autotrophs means organism, these produce their own food directly from the environment. Producers means to create. Okay, so producers mean the organism produce their own food from the environment, this is called the producers or autotrophs. For example, plants produce their own food from the environment. The plants not depend on to animals, plant not depend on to other thing. So plants produce the food own from our environment. So that is called the producers. Plants is including in producers. Okay. The second is consumers or heterotrophs. The consumers and heterotroph means what? So organism that depend on plants and animal. Consumers or heterotroph means what? That the organism depend on plants and animals for food. For example, human beings, we depend on to others, and the animals also depend on to others. So that is called the consumers or heterotrophs. So the examples of consumer or heterotrophs are human beings and animals. So you understand properly? The biotic components most important categories: two, producers or autotrophs, and the second, consumers or heterotrophs. Producers means the organism which produce their own food directly from the environment. For example, plants produce food directly from environment. Plants not depend on to other animals or other things. And the consumers or heterotroph means these organism depend on to others, means human beings also depend for food to others, and the animals also depend on for food to others. These two categories of biotic components. Now we learn about the interaction between the components of the environment. What is the interaction between the components of the environment? Which two components of the environment? Biotic components and the abiotic component. These natural environment parts, biotic and abiotic. What is the interaction between the biotic components and our abiotic components of the environment? So interaction and relation. Interaction means relation between all living organisms among themselves as well as with their physical environment, which natural surrounding also and the physical environment forms a complex system, very complex system, and this complex system referred as a ecosystem. So ecosystem means what? What is the definition of ecosystem? Do you know? Okay. So now we will learn what is the ecosystem. So ecosystem means a system formed by the interaction, that means relation of all living organisms like plants, animals, okay, human beings with each other. Their interaction, their relation with each other with physical and chemical. Physical, food, and chemical means water. So factors of the environment in which they live, and this is the factor in this environment they live. This is called the ecosystem. The example of ecosystem is, for example, rainforest, grassland, desert, lake, and pond. I just telling you one example, very easily example. You know it, in desert area they are only found the camel. Why they are not found the elephant? Because the desert area's environment is a very suitable for camel. Okay, so that's why in the desert area only found camel, not found the elephants or other animals. So this is the environment. Okay, this is the environment, and this is the system formed by the interaction. This is the relation of all living organisms. Okay, so that is the ecosystems. Examples are rainforest, grassland, desert, lake, and pond. Okay, now we learn about the human environment. Now we learn the natural environment. Natural environment components, two types components, biotic components and the abiotic component. That means the living things and non-living things. Now we learn the human environment. Human environment means what types of environment? Human environments mean you see in our surroundings, the buildings, temples, bridge, roads. This all is a man-made. This is not the natural. This is not natural creation. So this is the human environment, means human activities and the human creation. Human activities and human creation, this is called the human environment. That example of this human environment: buildings, temples, bridge, roads. Okay, so human environment includes all human creation and activities. Human beings have continuously adapted. They continuously adapted to their physical environment and also affected. This affected to since the earliest time. Earliest times what happened? In the past, the human basic needs is very limited and very simple and basic. Why? Because humans don't know about the society. So that's why humans need very basic, simple and limited. Okay, their basic needs like food, shelter and cloth. These three needs there. So nowadays the human needs increase, not limited. The human's needs now increase. Because why? Because the population increase. Over the times the population increase, and that's why the human needs also increase, and that's why the people started to expand their area. Now population increase, so now people want to expand their area, and that's why the influence means effect of the forest are clear to get land for agriculture, and now forest clear to get agriculture. New towns were built. Now population increase, so that's why the human needs the area, land. So that's why the area, the new towns also built, and animals were killed. Animals also killed for food and for cloth. Then all these activities, which the deforestation, animals killed, all these activities have had an adverse effect on the environment. For example, the many species of animals, birds, various types of birds, various types of animals in the forest, they are the destined. That means the destroy. Day by day, their species are very less. They are not found in the forest. For example, tigers, lions, that type species or bird species are very less. Why? Because deforestation. What is the reason? Deforestation is also a reason for increase in the amount of carbon dioxide. The deforestation, the man's need to area, new towns, and that's why man start the cutting of forest, and that's why the carbon dioxide increase in environment and in the air also, and which is the main reason, this is the main reason of the global warming. Understand? This is the main reason. This carbon dioxide mixed with the air, and this is the main reason of global warming. So students, what we learn now in this lesson, we learn about the natural environment and the human environment. This natural environment divided or components has two parts, abiotic components and the biotic components. Abiotic means non-living things, biotic means living things. Abiotic components examples are land, water, air. Land means lithosphere, water means hydrosphere, and air means atmosphere. And the biotic components examples are plants, human beings and animals. Okay, this is the natural environment. Now the human environment. Human environment means what? The humans activities and creation. This is called the human environment. Means this is the artificial man-made environment. Then in this lesson again we learn biotic components. In the biotic components again two categories divided. Biotic components divided into two categories: producer or autotrophs and consumers or heterotrophs. Producers means this organism produce their own food directly from this environment, and the consumers means that organisms for food depend on to other. This is called the consumers or heterotrophs. So producers example example plants, and the consumers example human beings and animals. And that again in this lesson we learn students ecosystem. What is the ecosystem? The interaction, the relation between a relation or interaction of all living organisms with each other and with the physical and chemical factors and the environment in which they live. Which environment they live? They live in desert environment, they live in grassland environment, they live in the rainforest environment. So this is the ecosystem, form of system. And the example of these ecosystems are rainforest, grassland, desert, lake and ponds. In this way, we learned in that lesson the natural environment and the human environment. So students, I hope you understood properly this lesson, and you read this lesson 2-3 times properly. And about the global warming we learned in next chapters. Okay, thank you friends.